Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to another episode of Teresa Talks. I am Teresa Cundiff, and I am the host of this fabulous show where I have inspiring conversations with authors, published and unpublished. An unpublished author is simply someone who has a book inside them, but they just haven't gotten it onto the paper yet. So I'm so excited that you've decided to join us today, and our show starts right now.
I was standing outside looking at the sky. The sun was shining and the clouds were flowing by. My favorite book in my hand. I opened it and
Everyone, I am so excited. Oops, we have a little audio. Okay, I'm so excited to bring back to Teresa Talks, an author that I had on in season 2, and he comes from a land down under. Today is also his birthday, so it's very awesome to get to speak to Simon Sultana about his second book. Hi, Simon. Welcome.
G'day, everyone.
I love that. G'day. Oh, I wish we could say it up here, but I think people would look at me like I was mad. But thank you for coming back on to Teresa Talks, Simon. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Likewise, I really enjoyed being on your show last time.
Well, I enjoyed reading your second book. Simon has 3 books that he has written about his travels, and he is currently writing a training manual for his the industry he worked in for so many years. So you want to talk about that just briefly before we get into the book?
Absolutely. Okay. For those that don't know who I am, I'm a retired private security contractor. I originally got my security license in Australia in 2010, and I just started as a run-of-the-mill security guard. And essentially what happened over time, a lot of time spent investing in myself, and I worked for some incredible firms here in Australia. And I worked my way up, as I said, from a security guard up until probably late 2019 when I was forced to retire. The reason why was I got very sick. And in that time, which almost spanned a decade, I'd done multiple jobs, everything from working at, say, Melbourne Museum, helping oversee logistics for Tutankhamun's treasure. What else have I done? I also worked at a Jewish college providing security there. I've worked at some corporate headquarters providing security services there. I also worked on the wharves of Australia doing work there. So I've done a lot in the last 10 years. So it was a very interesting job. And there are so many stories
Right.
from those days, which, as I said, though they're going to go in the training manual. Heck, even near the end of my career, I did crowd controlling, or in Australia we call it bouncing, at a Japanese karaoke bar. And I've got plenty of stories from there.
Yeah, you definitely have run the gamut of different kinds of places where you can provide security. So that's brilliant. And I know it's a large part of your life, and you have a special place in your heart for those men and women who are still in the industry. I want to get the ticker going before too much time goes by. This ticker, everyone, the website that you see here is where you can buy Simon's book that we're going to talk about. And here it is. 2 Tickets to Paradise. Yes, those of us who are Eddie Money fans know the song. So it's a very clever title for a travel book. So it's just the beginning of the fun that this book is. So I know that you in your writing the training manual that you're talking about, that it's going to really help those that are in your industry. Explain what we were talking about before, how there's not very much support for men and women who are in the security field or career, which is why you're writing the training manual, right?
Yes, that's correct. Okay. In Australia, how it works, when we get our security licenses, we go to a registered training organisation. We do our training there. We get given certificates. And basically, the license itself comes from LRD or LSD, which is the Licensing Service or Licensing Regulation Division of our police. And in regards to that, the private sector, which is what I worked in, is completely different from the police sector. Police obviously have all the resources that they need to do their job by means of taxes that are paid by the citizens. However, the private sector works differently, and how that works is we protect things such as buildings, we protect people, and those people provide the resources for us to do our jobs. So there's a lot less in the way of funding in that sector. So in regards to the help that I'm talking about with the training manual, it's my way of giving back to the industry that overall it had been good to me. And near the end of my career, I've even worked very high scale projects. The 2018 Commonwealth Games was one of them. And that was the highlight of my career. You know, I worked so many years to get to that level. And unfortunately, now that I've retired, the only thing I can do is pass on advice to other personnel who want to make it their career and see it as more than just a job. Because, you know, you are going to get, doesn't matter what industry you're in, you're always going to get people that are clock punchers. But those that want to set the bar really high, like I did, they'll have the resources and tools that they need to learn from my mistakes that I've made on the job, my stories, and also there will be heavily respected personnel contributing to that manual.
I think that's fantastic. And because a writer writes, correct? So you've got your books you've written on travel. And so to me, it just is a natural follow on that you would want to pour out what you know about the security industry into a training manual, because you're a writer and it's what you do. So with that, let's transition into the book. I've got 2 tickets to paradise, and you can buy it at the website that you see there on the ticker. In my notes going through here, you traveled to the island of Bintan in Indonesia.
Yes,
So,
yeah, yes.
Bintan.
Yeah.
Oh, Bintan. Oh, bless my heart.
It's okay. It's all right. It's pronunciation. It's all good.
Because we here in the U.S. Generally would go to the Caribbean, but of course you are in Australia, so it just follows on that Indonesia is like a close thing.
It's very close. Yes, and it's something that I've been fascinated with for many years, because growing up.
Oops, we lost him. Let's see if he can get himself. He had his phone plugged in. So
I'm back. Can you see me?
Yes, you're back.
Okay, sorry about that. Essentially, in regards to what I was saying about the book, that was written probably, how long was it? 2014 or 2015? It's been a long time since I wrote that. And I went on holiday for my birthday with my girlfriend at the time, and she took me, oddly enough, she took me for my birthday. So it was around roughly this time, many years ago, that we went on holidays there.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's so Bintan, as you tell us in the book, is the sister island to Bali, which is more familiar to us. I don't know if it's because of movies or whatever, but I thought that was a very interesting fact. How exactly did you select Bintan as your destination? I mean, there's so many to choose from. Right?
She chose it. I didn't choose it.
Oh.
She bought the tickets. So I had no idea she planned this.
Aww.
So she basically surprised me close to my birthday. And I just thought this is an opportunity to get to know her better, because we were only going out for a very brief period of time, probably about 8-9 months before that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So it was her way of showing how much she appreciated me. And obviously, I'm going to go. So, and
Yeah.
I've wanted to go to Indonesia for a very long time, because I studied it in primary school. So from year 3 up until year 12, which is high school, I studied Indonesian and I was fluent in it. So I always wanted to go and visit.
Yeah. So you were able to use your language skills, right?
Well, yeah, a bit rusty, but when I was there, I could understand the locals pretty well. Then they were surprised when I spoke Indonesian back to them.
Yeah, I'm sure they were. Just some of the things that you said. Okay, so I'm probably going to say this wrong. At the Changi or Changji,
Changi Airport, which is in
Changi.
Singapore.
Okay,
Yep.
Changi Airport. You ate at Hungry Jack's, and so I thought, how interesting.
Hungry Jack's, just to all you American viewers out there, Hungry Jack's is your Burger King. That's what
Right.
we call it here. Yeah.
So, and you said you had a cold Milo or Milo.
Yeah, Milo is really big in Australia and also in Malaysia. It's a malted barley drink, so it's made out of barley,
Okay.
and it's chocolate and barley mixed together. It's really nice.
Oh, okay. Because it's interesting because your book is written to like an Australian audience, and so I'm like, oh, if I was Australian, I would know what that meant. But since I didn't know, that's why it's a question. I was like, what's
No,
Milo?
that's okay. Feel
Question
free
mark.
to ask anything like that. It's fine.
Um, so you exchanged your money before heading to Club Med. How was that on the exchange? Were you money ahead or money behind?
It was so long ago, I can't even remember.
Oh, yeah.
But needless to say, I took a traveler visa card with me as well. So
Oh, sure.
I did take like wads of Indonesian rupiah over there, but at the end of the day, most people, believe it or not, in those countries, they accept Visa, MasterCard, and whatnot. They're actually quite advanced over there, which is surprising, because I thought I'd go there and it'd be only cash only, but majority of places they accept Visa, MasterCard. Yeah.
Which definitely is the way to go with regard to getting the best exchange rate. So I'm told.
Exactly.
Let's see. So, well, what was brilliant is that you left the winter and you kind of went to the summer, because you frequently talk about the weather there. You stepping off the plane, you got hit with the heat and humidity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So were you shedding your jacket and your sweatshirt or whatever to try to uh, be more comfortable in the climate?
Absolutely, because obviously coming from Australia, where it was near winter, or near the end of winter, so it's roughly around this time of year. And now in Australia, it's spring, so it is warming up. But just before we left, it was near the end of a very cold winter. But then when we got obviously to Indonesia, it's like entering a furnace. And it was like, as soon as we got there, it was incredibly hot, it was humid. And luckily, I didn't bring too many winter clothes with me. But obviously, I packed knowing that we'd be going out in a tropical environment.
Hmm. Yeah, I love the warmer weather, and my husband likes the colder weather. So, and it's weird you say down there right now, you guys are coming into spring.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah. So, and we're coming into fall. So it's so, it's so, weird to me to think that you guys have like Christmas in the summertime.
Everyone thinks when they come here that, especially from America and Canada, that it's going to be cold and wintry. It is very hot. Sometimes Australian summers can get up to. We don't really use Fahrenheit over here. We use Celsius.
Right.
It can get up to at least, and one of the hottest days we've had here is nearly 46 degrees. That's equivalent to, and this is in Melbourne, right? So I'm from Melbourne. This is essentially that weather is the same as going into the Australian outback. And that's like that every day of the year up in Northern Territory.
Mm. But it's like, but Christmas in particular, you guys, it's perfectly normal in what you've known
Oh
all
yeah, that's normal because we
Christmas
expect
is
the hot weather to come for
summertime.
sure.
Yeah. So I don't know, is your Father Christmas in a pair of like, board shorts and when his beard is trimmed up real close and he's got on a tank top? I don't know.
Oh look, we still have obviously we have traditional Christmas decorations and that, but they show a lot of ads on Australian TV with like the Aussie Santa in board shorts and a singlet and flip flops, but we call them thongs over here. But that has another meaning where you're from.
Yes, it does. Yes, I think at one point in the past, thongs might have referred to a pair of shoes, but that would have been decades ago. So, um, it's funny you should bring that up. So, I was curious as I was reading so for the record, we are 14 hours apart. So where he is now, it's 6 in the evening. So where I am, it's 4 in the morning. So it's I got up early to make this happen for Simon. He wanted to have the interview on his birthday. I was so happy to accommodate. So
No, I do appreciate it, Teresa. I really do. Thank you.
oh, you're so welcome, Simon. But that made me wonder, what's the time difference from where you are in Melbourne to where you went to?
The time difference, probably about 8 or 9 hours difference, but obviously it varies.
Oh, wow. See, wow, that's shocking to me. I thought it was going to be a lot closer together. I thought like maybe 2 hours behind you or something, but
Depends where you go. Like obviously Indonesia, it's a very big, like it's an archipelago of islands. So the island that we went to, it's a very, very small island. And obviously you were saying Bali is a very popular destination with most travelers, but the reason why, well, I think my partner at the time didn't choose to go there. It's very densely populated. It's a tourist designed area, whereas where we went, it's a lot more secluded. It's a lot quieter. There are tourists that still go, but it's not inundated with tourists.
Yeah, but I mean that's kind of I think that's kind of nice, to go someplace that's not just swarmed with people.
Yeah, no, it was a very unique experience for me.
That's appealing to me as well. Well, we'll have more with Simon when we come back right after this.
Teresa Talks is a new kind of TV show. I'm your host, Teresa Cundiff, and I won't just be interviewing authors who write books. I'll also be interviewing authors who will be writing books. We'll have fun, and you will be informed and entertained. Teresa Talks can be found on all these platforms, on these smart TVs, and wherever there is internet around the world. I'm excited for you to join me on Teresa Talks on Legrity Media.
And we're back on Teresa Talks. So it's, I will say Teresa Talks is now on Everyday Woman TV. So that's the platform where you are watching this from right now. So we're back with Simon Sultana and his book, I've Got 2 Tickets to Paradise. He went on a fabulous trip to Bintan. So the whole time I read it, I was thinking Bintan. So
It's okay. It's all good.
I know, it just makes me laugh at myself because I'm a wordy nerd. I mean, that's the name of my company, Wordy Nerds Media Incorporated. So I do kind of pride myself on getting my words right, and I didn't get those words right. But
No,
anyway,
don't worry about it. It's all good.
um, let's see. Your host, and you called it Club Med. Was it a Club Med club, or
It
that's
really was an actual Club Med. It was
oh,
amazing. It was.
nice.
I
Yeah.
know it can be seen as maybe daggy going to a Club Med or a Sandals or something like that, but it was amazing. It was so beautiful. I've still got pictures of it.
Oh well.
I might have featured some in the book, but on my Facebook I have pictures of the island and where we were staying. It was amazing. It was like beautiful green palm trees. There were orangutans and monkeys in the forests. It was amazing. And then obviously we had the usual things at a resort. There was obviously swimming pools, restaurants, buffets. They had all sorts of things like sports. So they had even like a little soccer pitch. They had an archery area. It was amazing. It was huge, this resort.
Well, that sounds. I mean, what was the word you used? Dodgy. You said it might sound dodgy, or what did you say?
Dodgy. Yeah.
Is that what you said? Oh, okay. I don't know why though, because I mean, to me, something that's all inclusive like that sounds like fantastic. So
Oh,
you just
daggy. Sorry, not dodgy.
daggy.
Daggy.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Daggy means just like, old fashioned. That's
Oh, old fashioned.
my lingo is popping out here. So
Okay. Oh, I love this language exchange that we're having. um, so your host was Stephanie, but then I also wrote down, I was just curious also, your travel day. Now that I know how many hours the time difference was, how long was your travel day, like when you left to when you got there?
obviously changing time zones, and obviously it's been a very long time since I went there. From what I can remember of it now, without reading my book, obviously, as soon as we touched down, we were exhausted because we'd been on the plane, and it's a longish flight, and then by the time you get off at the airport, you have to get to this island. You have to go by speedboat.
Oh, okay.
So you get there by speedboat, and
Okay.
then when you get off the speedboat, you get taken on a bus, and then the bus takes you directly to the resort. And when you get welcome to the resort, as I said, I don't forget the warm welcome that we received. It was amazing. Yeah.
Which is as expected. You're their customer, so they should be, rolling out the red carpet, as we like to say. But because a lot of times your destination is exciting, but sometimes getting there is a bit of a chore. So I was just curious about that. Let's see. On page 30, I love that throughout the book you describe the food that you have. Even your breakfast.
I don't know if you could tell, Teresa, I'm into my food.
Well, I think especially on vacation, we're into our food, right? But you said you had teriyaki chicken, rice, and dal, DHAL. I have no idea what that is. So
Dal, it's like an Indian cuisine. So they had at the place we were staying, even though it was in Indonesia, they had food from all countries. So obviously to appeal to all the international guests.
right. So rice but is it like a side dish, vegetable kind of thing?
Yes, I think to my understanding it is, yes. But correct me if I'm wrong. So
Oh, no, I can't correct you. That's why I'm asking you. You're supposed to. So and that's what I did as I was reading the book. I was like, oh, check. I don't know what that means. No, I don't know what that is either. That's what's fun about reading the book and then knowing I was going to get to talk to you about it, so you could share with all of us about it.
As I said, I'll always have a place in my heart for there, because this is the guide that took us around, which you've read about. He was a wonderful man. He really was.
That's brilliant.
Mm.
So I comment here, you finally reveal that you studied their language for 10 years on page 40. That's like burying the lead.
Mm. No, as I said, because I could hear what they were saying in that, but when I responded in Indonesian too, then they were quite shocked. And surprisingly, Indonesian, once you learn the basics, it's actually quite a very simple language to learn. So
Well,
yeah,
that's encouraging because I feel like I can't teach this old dog any new tricks when it comes to language. But
yeah,
what's
it's very simple. Like for example, there are words in Indonesian that reflect English words. So very basic, and I'm talking basic Indonesian.
Mhm,
The word coffee, for example,
mhm.
in Indonesian, it's called kopi, which is Kopi.
Ah,
Ice cream is es cream, Eskrim, those kind of things. So certain words replicate English words. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah,
And
geez, good examples.
yeah, I could go on for hours and hours, but that's not what you're interviewing me about today.
But still, that's very fascinating because I
Mm,
know, like, with the, what they're called the Romance languages, French and Spanish, they're kind of readable, um,
mm,
because, like, the word, like, terrible is the way we say it, but in French, it would be like terrible, and I
yeah.
and so I don't hear it. I wouldn't hear it, but I can read it, and it makes, like, but anyway, so do they use the same alphabet in Indonesia?
Yeah, they use the standard alphabet. They use it, but obviously the words are there's a mix and match of English, and then there's some words which can be confusing to pronounce. But that's like any language.
Yeah.
But it's a very simplistic language to learn. Yes, I did become fluent in it when I was in high school, and that was because the only languages at the time they offered at my school was Indonesian, French, Italian, or Latin. So I just kept going with Indonesian because I learnt that from the age of 8.
Oh, nice, nice.
Mm.
Well, I think that's awesome. I hope that you make efforts to keep it up because I think that being bilingual is like one of the greatest assets that a person can
No,
have.
absolutely. I would like to obviously keep that up as well. But
Mhm.
if I did go there, and if I spent a long time there, like a year to 18 months or
Oh, yeah,
more,
yeah,
I'd be able to pick it up very quickly. But
yeah,
as
absolutely.
for formalized learning, I wouldn't mind getting back into it again.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that. So in reading along, it's just interesting, kind of the things that you drop in. You said that they put their petrol in glass bottles on
That's
page
correct.
2. That blew
Because
my mind right there because it's like illegal in the US to put
mm,
uh, petrol, gasoline in glass. Just illegal. Nobody does it.
yeah, well, and not just that. It's not even just glass bottles. The further into the countryside you go, obviously to the more impoverished areas, they'll do anything to earn a living. And there's, as mentioned, there's not many petrol stations on that island. There's maybe only a couple. Sorry. And what I noticed when I was over there, they had these little mopeds, which are like little motorcycles, and I've got
Mhm,
pictures of them in the book.
mhm.
And with that, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see that regularly over there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
with
mean,
that,
I think everybody got that. That's three
three.
bodies on one little motorcycle.
That's correct. And like with, for example, Evian water bottles, they even fill them with gasoline. And really, everyone knows that if you do that, the bottle will perish. But they'll do anything to try and to make money from the roadside stalls. They sell, as I said, they sell fuel. They'll sell fruit. They'll sell knickknacks. They will sell anything, chewing gum, the works,
Mhm.
toys, you name it. They'll sell them by the roadside.
Yeah. Did you feel culture shocked by what you saw?
Well, more than anything, as I said, our tour guide, he took us around and he took us around for a very, very good price. But when I was going around the island, I was amazed that this is how a lot of people earn their living. And even if you're an Australian citizen and you're on a very, very average income, if you go over there, you're seen as wealthy. So the exchange rate's completely different.
Mhm.
And the other thing that I did notice there too was they do have Western influences. Like they did have a Kentucky Fried Chicken, they do have a McDonald's, they have all that kind of stuff. But that's not what I went there for. I went there for the
Of course.
traditional cuisine.
Mhm.
And as I said, I love my spicy food. So I was really impressed with the food that was on offer, even from the local vendors as well.
That's awesome.
Mm.
So, then on page 44, I write, interesting to learn that you shopped by flashlight.
Oh
Um,
yes, I'll tell you about that. That was a very interesting experience. They have, for example, like a market, okay, and most markets in various countries around the world, or malls, even in the United States, they're well lit. Now over there, because the power grid is pretty poor over there, they use diesel generators to power the shops. So everything from the lights, they only get turned on periodically, and you're basically shopping by torchlight. So luckily, I was prepared. I brought a torch with me, given the fact I used to do it for a living. Um, I brought my torch over, and they even had shops like Ralph Lauren shops, and you're shopping in darkness. So they don't want to obviously keep the lights on because it costs a fortune and it's an unreliable power source.
mhm.
Yeah, just to obviously keep the shop afloat, they have these generators going, but the only downside is those generators make fumes, and it's a pretty unpleasant experience when you're in a clothes shop and all you can smell is diesel.
Yeah. I wonder, so in the darkness, how do they stop people from stealing?
Who knows? But when I was there, it was going through that area
Uh-huh.
with the torch, and the lower levels of the mall. It was pretty grimy. There was vermin problems there too, and that's just because of the sanitation as well. It's completely different over there.
Mhm.
Mm.
Wow. I mean, I try to think about like a mall here in America, if it was like dark for starters, if there was no lights on, it would be black as pitch because there's no outside light coming in. And that everybody in there would be walking around with like, well, a torch, or nowadays people would use their phone flashlight, right?
Mm.
It kind of blows my mind trying to extrapolate that into the same kind of thing here in the United States. It's like, and that's why I was asking you if you felt culture shocked, because I was
Definitely,
certain that would culture
definitely,
shock me. Um,
definitely. Because obviously, growing up in Australia, I had a very, well, I'd like to say, a blessed upbringing.
mhm.
And the basic human rights that we take for granted over there, they're seen as luxuries. So, something as simple as having electricity, clean running water. The water over there, do not drink it. You'll get sick.
Yeah,
So
I,
the
I
cure for that is either drinking bottled water or by buying aquatabs, which aquatabs are purifiers,
in the water.
and you put them in the water and it kills all the parasites and nasties that if you drink it, it will make you sick without it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to take another break now, and when we get back, Simon is going to talk to us about monkey magic. So we'll be right.
Okay.
right, we're back with Simon Sultana. We're talking about his really fun book, I've Got Two Tickets to Paradise, about his trip to Bintan, Indonesia, with his then girlfriend, Colleen. And so there's a thing in the book that he talks about called monkey magic. Do you want to talk about that?
Okay, yes, okay. Monkey Magic was an old series that used to be on TV in the late 70s to early 80s. Going back to Chinese folklore, it talks about Journey to the West. I don't know if anyone knows what that is, but it's an old tale, as old as time. But the show Monkey Magic, it's still playing on TV here in Australia. And basically, that show was dubbed using English voices. And it talks about these old Chinese folk tales. They're quite great to watch. And as a young child, I used to watch them on TV and developed an affinity for the martial arts also through that when I was young. And obviously, with the influence of people like Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee, that kind of pushed it even more. But yes, that's what Monkey Magic is. You can look it up online. That you can get them on DVD and even on streaming services such as Netflix. I have watched it on Netflix.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Look
yeah,
it up.
but it takes a bit to get into. I'll just say that. When I put it on at my mum's house and I'm watching it, she goes, "Oh, this is boring." So but for me, it has a lot of sentimentality.
Yeah. Well, because you said there's also a statue of Monkey Triptaka, Sandy, and Pigsy from the cult TV show Monkey Magic. And I was like, that just seemed so, I'll say, weird to me that a small island in Indonesia would have such a thing that like paid tribute to a TV show.
Oh, it's not paying tribute to a TV show. It's
Okay.
basically that those statues were from Journey to the West, which is the folk tale, because that part of the island has a heavy Chinese influence. And even the temples, you go around the temples there, there's lots of there's Buddhist temples. And that part of, even though it's Indonesia, the Chinese actually maintain, and there are Chinese people that live in those areas.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that sort of puts it all together a little bit more. But it just struck me that there were monkeys.
Yeah, no, I completely understand from your perspective because but yeah, if you look it up on Netflix, yeah, you can watch it.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's another like thing in your book that your Australian audience will understand.
Oh, they'll understand it
much more than like me. I was like, because we had hey we're the monkeys, with Davy.
Oh, right.
And
yeah, the monkeys, monkeys were popular over here, but yeah, Monkey Magic in itself, it used to be on it used to run on regular TV here in Australia on Channel 2 or ABC, which is our national station, and it was on a show called The Afternoon Show with Michael Tunn. And as a 6 and 7 year old, I used to watch that when I'd come home from school. So that's the sentimentality for me.
Right. Well, we always watched, and this is totally dating myself, we always watched Gilligan's Island.
Oh, wow. we get that here on cable TV. We're not that outdated here. Yeah.
I think maybe here it's on TV Land. I don't know. What's crazy is I've seen so much of it that even to this day, if I come across a Gilligan's Island, I can quote the dialogue with them. So that's pretty bad, right? But clearly it made an impression on me.
Oh, absolutely.
You said travel tip, always take a novel. And then I wrote, thank you for always telling us what you ate for each meal, because I thought that was fascinating. But with regard to taking a novel, or two, I would suggest, because it's the greatest thing. Because of course you had all those amenities and things you could do, but sometimes you do just want to sit down, maybe by the pool or whatever, and just read a book. And
no, exactly. And the reason why I took a few novels with me is because sometimes in between waiting for charters or my tour guide to come and pick us up, that we could be waiting for an hour or two,
Hmm.
and I could just be sitting in the sun, working on my tan. And it's a joke because I'm very fair skinned. Um, and you could just sit back and relax by the pool. You can obviously see the waves crashing over the sea. It was amazing, and that weather, it's not like always boiling hot. It's just some days were really calm and peaceful and grey skies, but you'd still feel at peace. And even when they call them monsoons, which is when they rains really heavily, the whole island cools down, and even though it's moist and humid, you still feel cool. And some of the best times I had in that resort was when I was just sitting by the pool, either reading a book, having a few drinks. As I mentioned there was one bartender that I got on along really well with.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, as I said, she made us feel very welcome when we were there.
Yeah, here she is.
Yep, that's her, Romy.
Which is cool. I mean, and that's kind of a thing that you do, I think, when you're on vacation or whatever, kind of learn people's names and, just be friendly and cordial and, have a good time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So on day 6, you said there was rain, so we did laundry and watched TV.
Well, as I said, it's not always going to be exciting on holiday,
right.
but some days we just stayed in and did very little. Yeah.
So on day 7 you went to, is it Adins or Adins?
Oh, Adin was our tour guide, and as I said,
went to his village and did community work.
Because he basically took us around. This is the thing, and this is why I say to any traveler that goes to places in Indonesia, don't be afraid to tip them, because if you do tip them, I know it's the same in the United States, they'll give you better service. But for these people in particular, 100 Australian dollars took us around the whole island, essentially. And obviously, because I had extra money I brought with me, I thought, I know I could keep it for myself and buy souvenirs, but it makes a difference to these people. So obviously I gave it to him, and he was over the moon, because when he took us to his little tiny village, I don't know if I took pictures of it, but it was, basically, oh, there we go. There wasn't much there. There was literally that shed, a couple of concrete bunkers, and a giant pile of rubbish with goats and chickens.
Oh my goodness! So you said he was to move with the money you gave him?
Well, sorry?
Did you say he was able to move, like move house?
Oh, that's right. Well, near the end of the book, I mentioned that I gave him a significant sum. That amount was actually 5,000 Australian dollars. That to them would make him a millionaire.
Yeah.
So, that in Australian currency would work out, for the average Australian worker, $1,000 a week would probably be, the average wage for most workers. But for over there, that he couldn't believe how much money I sent him. And that was because obviously I got to know the guy who took us to his village. He offered to have, make meals for us. He was a very good man. And, he was a heavy smoker as well. But there are pictures of me in the book, standing next to him. But he did teach me some really good life lessons. And I never thought that I would befriend someone that was in their late 60s whilst I was on holiday. And he was always talking about friendship. So I did understand what he meant later on, after I got back home. Yeah, he was an amazing guy. Unfortunately, he passed away from cancer. As I said, he was a heavy smoker.
Right. Well, that's unfortunate. I know that was a sad day for you to learn about that.
Well, it was, because I found him on we exchanged Facebook, and I'd message him, and then I realized I wasn't getting messages, and we spoke to each other on WhatsApp from time to time when I got back. But it wasn't until I checked his Facebook, and then I realized that he passed away. And the funniest thing is, there's still a picture of me on his Facebook page, that exact same picture. So I get a little sad when I see that.
That makes me a little weepy, not gonna lie. Because sometimes you do, you come together and your lives touch at like one point, but it has a great impact on you, and so it's something that sticks with you. So I'm
It
very
does,
thankful
and
for the loss.
most definitely, Teresa. And the reason why it does stick with me is because when I came back to Australia, obviously, given the fact that we're even people who are at the lower end of society in Australia, we are living in abundance compared to certain areas over there.
Yes.
And it made me reflect and realize that, um, in traditional society, most people want to acquire more and more. But when I came back from there, I wanted to obviously live with less. And when I came back, I decluttered a lot of my things. I either gave them to Goodwill or I sold them, or I just kept what I needed. And it does come in handy because everything I have in my house I can fit in a small storage locker. So, I'm not too worried if I have to move. And that's the reason why I live like that, because when I did go over there and saw how they got by with very little and were very happy,
Yes.
even with nothing,
Right.
nothing of him, like, by that I mean like that they had very basic accommodation.
Mhm.
They did get food shipped in once a month, and I'd come by boat, which I did mention as well.
Mm.
And he was one of the happiest, most friendly people I've ever met in my lifetime.
Well, it just shows that things don't make you happy. They're just things, and that the things, in my opinion, that really matter are the connections that you make. The true heart connections and the relationships that you build, because that's really what life is it not? Is relationships and friendships. Uh, and so he sounds like a wonderful man,
He
and
was a wonderful man. And as I said, with that donation that I gave him, in the book I didn't mention the amount, but obviously in this interview I will. Um, it was a small amount for me, but it was a significant amount for him. He actually opened up his travel agency, and he operated that for a couple of years before he passed away. And I remember him when we were in the cab, he was talking about how much he wanted to do it. And I understood the fact that even that little $100 that I paid him to take us around for the day, that made him happy. And I thought, well, he was such a good person to us, not just to me and Colleen, but even to the people at Club Med, because he was one of their best drivers too. So at least that way I've fulfilled a dream of his. And, I believe in what goes around comes around in that sense. And,
Mhm.
as I said, he let us take photos of his village. He took us to parts of the island that most Westerners don't get access to.
Mhm.
So I was very grateful for all of that.
Oh. Well, you say that they made you a birthday cake, and it was your 32nd birthday when you were there. So
That's right.
and what is the man's name again?
Adin.
Adine. Yes. Was he part of that birthday celebration as well?
No, he wasn't there that day because they were celebrating an Indonesian holiday.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's a special holiday to do with their faith, because the majority of Indonesians, they're Muslim, but they also do have um, Christianity is big in certain parts of the island, but
Mhm.
majority is Muslim. So it was around Ramadan too when we went there.
Right. Yeah. And so the you took a nature walk, and you didn't particularly care for the guide that you had, right?
Oh, because look, the reason why I could tell he just wasn't into it. He was just doing, because he was a part of the island staff. I could tell he just probably got lumped with the job and just didn't care. It's like he was just going pointing haphazardly here, there, and everywhere, and it's like he was probably very keen to go home and, I don't know, go to his family or
Mm-hmm.
just hang out with his colleagues. But when we were there, we were just expecting him to take us around properly. But it wasn't a long period of time. I was actually quite disappointed with it. But that's when Adin came in and he turned that all around. So
Oh, good.
yeah.
So glad.
Mm.
Well, we are going to move on to the lightning quiz. But let me put that back up real quick. Everyone, you can get this fun book that talks about the island of Bintan in Indonesia at the website that's ticking across the bottom. So now we go to the famous or infamous lightning quiz.
I remember these.
Yes, well, of
It's
course.
been ages since I've done one, but okay.
As I do, it's a whole new thing of questions. So, are you ready?
Okay.
We'll never know if the answers are wrong. So, just remember.
All right.
That. Okay. Do you like to swim?
I've actually started swimming recently. Yes.
Okay.
I'm getting better at it.
Do you Instagram your food?
No.
I'm just saying my.
Oh look, I occasionally used to take pictures on Facebook, but I don't Instagram every meal I make. No.
Well, good. I'm glad I made you laugh. What is something that you could eat for a week straight?
Oh geez, a week straight. Probably my mum's chicken and vegetable pie.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
It is delicious.
Huh. Would you go to a movie alone?
Yes, I have done that in the past.
If you were given the opportunity to fly into space, given today's technology, would you do it?
Considering I've seen Apollo 13, probably not.
Where is your favorite spot to read?
My favorite spot to read is, well, when I'm not working, I sometimes curl up and read a good book on my sofa. I like doing that, or even if I go out to, say, the local beaches in Australia, if it's really warm, I like putting down a towel and then obviously put the sunblock on because you will burn like crazy here, and the hats. I sometimes go to a few places such as Carrum Beach in Australia, or another good beach to go to is Seaford. And during the summertime, I like to just bring a towel and just read in the sun.
Yeah. Any beach sounds good to me. What's your least favorite food?
My least favorite food. Okay.
Mine is peanut butter, I'll just tell you.
Really?
I hate it with the burning fire.
Okay. Well, I love peanut butter myself. But
most people do. I'm just weird that way. But what's your
no,
least?
that's okay. Not so much a food, but it's probably a spice. My least favorite spice, I don't know if you have it over there, cumin.
Oh, yeah, of course we do. Yeah. Okay. So that's.
I don't like the smell of it. It makes me sick.
Oh, okay. What's your favorite genre of music?
My favorite genre of music, well, I've got a couple, but mainly heavy rock / metal.
Ooh, wow. Okay. So what's for dinner tonight, birthday boy?
Mum's actually making roast chicken.
Delicious. How many hours of sleep do you need?
Okay. Ideally, I'd like to get 8 to 9, like most regular people, but because of the roles that I've played in the past, I'm used to getting by on about 4.5 to 5 hours. I know it's not good for me.
I can't do that. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like the writing process?
Because I've done it several times now, and I've even been told to use new technologies such as iPads and all that kind of thing. I still believe in, the old traditional pick up a pen or a pencil and then write into a notebook. And the reason why I like doing that is because it activates the neurons inside and gets your thoughts onto paper a lot easier. Obviously, to speed up the publishing process, you can use those things, but when it comes to drafting, I always do it that way.
That's
no
cool.
matter how archaic it sounds.
So on 1 to 10, you would say 8 or 9 that you enjoy the writing process?
Yeah, the only thing I don't like is when I've been writing for long periods of time and my fingers lock up.
Oh, right. Oops. We lost him again, right in the middle of the lightning quiz. Let's see if he comes back.
Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what happened there.
It's okay. All right, so next is, do you use a caffeine source to start your day?
Since I've started my new business, yes, and it's not coffee. I drink occasionally, and I know I shouldn't do product placement here, but Red Bull.
It's okay. That's okay. I mean, I asked you. Are you afraid of heights?
Well, depends how high we're talking. If we're talking like on top of a skyscraper, and
Come on, Simon. Yes or no? Are you afraid of heights? I am afraid of heights.
well, yeah, I am.
Okay. What's one place that you have always wanted to visit but haven't been to yet? You probably have
The
a whole
Netherlands.
Pardon?
The Netherlands. The Netherlands.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Are you a breakfast person or not?
Yes.
Do you like to travel? Clearly.
Yes, I do.
Not travel, right? How many books are you reading at any one time?
Well, I have a massive pile that is on my to-do list, but I try to read one book every 2 weeks.
Oh, wow, that's good. That's really good. I aspire to that. What size bed do you prefer?
Oh, I've got a queen size, so definitely queen size.
Got you. I don't even know why I put that in there. How many books do you feel you still have in you to write?
Well, as long as it doesn't become too long-winded, and my fans don't buy my books anymore, I'd like to keep writing a book every couple of years. I've developed a flair and passion for writing, and that's not going to go away now, as it was my dream as a young child to become an author. So there will be probably a few more.
Good.
Not sure what the rest of them will be about, but only time will tell.
Good. And what is one thing you want the viewers to know about you?
Okay, one thing that I want the viewers to know about me is if they do buy my books, they're not just to obviously help me out in the way of finances. There's actually a motivation behind it. Those books are to help with fundraising causes. In particular, the first one, which was A Walk Abroad, which Teresa did interview me for last time, and then this one. I do mention my late father in the book. He was a massive role model for me, and he was a very religious man. And you'll learn about him at the start of the book, and you'll see a picture of him at the end of the book. I want to honor those obligations to the people that took care of my dad in the later stages of his life, because dying of pancreatic cancer is a horrible thing. And I want to donate an amount of money to the hospital, which was Wanturna Health in Wanturna, who did take care of my dad in his final days.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, everyone, again, 2 tickets to paradise. It's available at SamanthaJansonPublishing.com. Simon, thank you so much for coming on today. I've really enjoyed getting to chat with you again in the chats we've had leading up to having you on the show today. So I hope you have the happiest of birthdays, and thank you again for coming on.
Anytime, Teresa, I would love to come on your show soon. And just so you know, readers, there is another book in the series which Teresa will talk about in the near future.
Yeah.
And yeah, as I said, to me, that's my masterpiece. If you think this one is good, you should read the next one.
Oh, well, I shall do, because Simon's coming back in October, I believe, on your dad's birthday.
Yes, to honor my dad. Yes, it was October 10. Was his birthday.
So in a month's time, roughly, Simon will be back, and we'll be talking about his 3rd book in his travel series. So Simon, g'day.
G'day.
have a great birthday.
No worries. Thanks, Teresa. And as we say in Australia, hooroo, which means see you later.
All right. Thanks so much. All right. And I'll just say ta-ta for now.
No worries. Thank you so much.
All right. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us again today on Teresa Talks. It's such a pleasure to chat with someone who's written such a fun book and done so many fun things. So if you want to email me or reach out to me, you can go to my website, teresatalkstv.com, or you can email me at teresa@teresatalkstv.com. thank you again for joining me and Simon, and I hope you have your best day ever.
My favorite book in my hand. I opened it and I can fly. Oh, how the hours just fly by.